Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. This weekend in the UK we got the release of Gambit and Rogue for Marvel Champions. So we are going to have a look at what's inside both of them, starting with Gambit, the Raging Cajun, probably my favourite, one of my favourite X-Men. Let's have a little look at what's inside. Okay, so in the box we've got the Gambit poster artwork. I really like the artwork on this. And on the back side we've got his information about his hero pack. So brings a justice deck with him. We've got the keywords and then the credits to the people that are always involved with it and always producing this wonderful content. We're going to stick that there. So then we've got Gambit himself. So the hero, Remy LeBeau. Remy LeBeau is a 3 recovery, 6 hand size, 9 hit points hero. So not the most tanky person in the world, but it's got really cool action. So obviously when you're in Alter Ego, you're normally just recovering and not doing much else, but we've got an action here, so a thought action. Exhaust Remy LeBeau and look at the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. Discard 1 card, remove threat from a scheme equal to the number of boost icons on that card. So really awesome way of either just staying in Alter Ego mode and just continually scheming, getting rid of some of those really difficult cards of the encounter deck. You don't want to see maybe Shadows of the Past or any of the really big minions that are coming out or out and about. You can get rid of that really nicely. And then in his hero mode, so his hand size drops 1, so hand size to 5, and he is a 1 thought, 2 attack, 3 defense character with the Thief and X-Men. I think on that side he's Mutant and Thief. And then 2 actions here. So action number 1, charge to card. So place 1 charge counter here. Nice thing about that is there's no limit to it, so it's not a maximum of certain of X many. From what I can tell, they're not going to discard when you flip down, which is quite nice. And then throw the card. When you play an attack event, remove up to 3 charge counters from here. The event deals +1 damage for each counter that was removed. So we know that Gambit's got some cards in his deck that are going to really make use of that, but great if you're just playing like an aggression Gambit deck and you just want to try and deal as much damage as possible all the time. That is really awesome. So that is the Gambit hero card. We've then got the 15 specific Gambit hero cards, starting with his signature ally. Signature ally is Rogue. So Rogue is a 4 cost, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health. Reduce the cost to play Rogue by 1 for each charge counter on your identity. So we've got 4 charge counters on Gambit. Rogue is completely 3, which is quite nice. She also comes in with toughness, so probably nothing is going to break the bank, but it's probably never ever going to cost 4, because she's probably always going to have some sort of charge counter on Gambit each turn. We've then got the Thieves Guild as support, so Alter Ego. After you resolve your Thief Extraordinaire ability, exhaust the Thieves Guild, remove 1 threat from a scheme. If that removes the last threat from a scheme, draw a card. So when you're doing his Alter Ego action, you've got another threat removal right there. We've got Gambit's Staff. Cost 1 upgrade. When an enemy attacks, exhaust Gambit's Staff, deal 1 damage to the enemy. Nice. Really nice way to destroy those either the minion that's got 1 health left, or even just something like pinging toughness off of a minion. Something like that is really nice. We've got Gambit's Guild Armor. So after Gambit defends against an attack and takes no damage, exhaust Gambit's Guild Armor. Ready Gambit. So we know he's got 3 defense. So he's potentially, there are going to be attacks that he's not taking as much damage from, which is quite nice. And then we've got charged cards. So the first of Gambit's sort of attack superpowers. So it costs 2, deal 4 damage to an enemy. And then if you resolve Gambit's throw card ability and you remove at least 1 counter, it gains ranged, 2 counters against piercing, and 3 counters against overkill. So you've got to remember that also stacks with the +1 that he's getting for using the throw card ability. So if you're removing 3 counters from that, that is an attack that is dealing 7 damage, ranged, piercing, and overkill, which is quite nice. We then get a second copy of charged card, a third copy of charged card, and then Royal Flush. So this is the big one, I guess. So it costs 3. Place 1 charge counter on Gambit. Deal 0 damage to an enemy. Deal 0 damage to an enemy. Deal 0 damage to an enemy. So that is, you are taking off 3 counters from throw a card, and you're doing 3 damage to an enemy, 3 damage to an enemy, 3 damage to an enemy. So not to get confused with, there are some cards that say do 1 attack, then do another attack. In those instances, that event only deals +1 damage, but because that is all on one sentence, as it were, it's deal 3, deal 3, deal 3. So really nice way to get 9 damage, either 9 damage onto one big person, or you just want to ping. Actually, you just want to ping 3 minions for 2, or something like that. Really nice way of doing that there. We got a second copy of Royal Flush. Then we have Natural Agility. So when you defend against an attack, place a charge counter on Gambit. For each charge counter on Gambit, you get +1 defense for the attack. So you've got 4 defense, 4 counters on Gambit. All of a sudden, he's +4 defense. So he goes to 7 defense. You mix that in with Gambit's Guild Armor, for example, and then he just readies straight away because he doesn't take any damage from it. Second copy of Natural Agility. We get Creole Charmer. So again, an alter ego action. Well, this one is Thought. Remove up to 3 threat from a scheme. If it removes the last threat from a scheme, confuse the villain. Nice. You're doing a lot of potentially alter ego scheming, a lot of threat removal, and then you're in alter ego. If you manage to confuse the villain, you can confuse the villain. You can get this one for an extra threat off, plus the ability from Memory Laveau. And then you're going to confuse the villain, so the villain isn't then going to re-scheme against you in his phase, which is quite nice. A second copy of that. And then 2 copies of Molecular Aggression. So this is his resource card. So when you spend the card, place a charge counter on Gambit. Gives you 2 resources, which is quite nice as well. So they are Gambit's 15. Let's have a look at what else comes in his deck. Nemesis, before we look into anything else. So, his obligation. Give to the Remy Laveau player. Exhaust Remy Laveau and spend a lightning resource. Remove guild business from the game. Gives you an additional encounter card every turn. So, something you're definitely going to want to be getting rid of as soon as possible. But thankfully, if I just had a look at the Gambit 16, we've got a lot of lightning resources to play with. So, mix that up with what's in his deck, and hopefully you should have that out for no more than 1 turn. And then we go on to Gambit's Nemesis minion. We've got Belladonna. So she is 2 scheme, 3 attack, 5 health with quick strike and toughness. And then force attack. After Belladonna attacks and defeats a character, put 2 threat on the main scheme. So she is quite nasty, but especially with the quick strike. Quick strike 3 attack is probably going to kill most minions. Sorry, not most minions, most allies in 1 turn. We've then got his side scheme, the Assassin's Guild. So after an assassin minion attacks and defeats a character, place 2 threat here. So obviously gives you 4 plus the acceleration token. Again, probably nothing too crazy. And if you think with Gambit's Thief Extraordinary ability, you'd like to hope that maybe the Assassin's Guild is going to be in play for a maximum of 1 turn. We then get 2 copies of the Guild Assassin. So 1 scheme, 2 attack, again with quick strike. After Guild Assassin attacks and defeats a character, place 1 threat on the scheme. And you can see how quickly this would ramp up because you've got potentially 2 threat going on the main scheme from Belladonna. She's an assassin, so when she kills someone, that's another 2 threat on there. They're both assassins, and they're putting threat on the main scheme and also threat on there as well. So pretty nasty stuff. And then the last one is Assassination's Attempt. Each assassin minion attacks you, even if you're in alter ego form. That's big because you've potentially got no way of defending that. If there are no assassin minions in play, search encounter deck for an assassin. So that's his Nemesis set. I don't think it's the worst set in the world. It definitely could be a lot better. I don't think there's anything in there that you look at and you think, oh my goodness, that's going to crazy kill me. But it can get out of control pretty quickly, especially if you've got other assassins within your encounter deck. So, we'll have a look at the Justice cards that he comes with, and then the other cards that he comes with before we look at what else was in the pack. So, we've got the Justice cards that we come with. So we've got 2 allies, the first of which is Bishop. So Bishop, 2 thwart, 0 attack, costs 3 to play with a 3 health. So after an enemy attacks, you place 1 energy counter here. And there's interrupt. When Bishop attacks, remove each energy counter from him. For each counter discarded this way, he gets +2 attack for the attack to a maximum of 6. So you've got 3 energy counters on him. He's doing +6 attack in his turn, but it does mean you've got to be attacked 3 times. So potentially could happen in one turn if you've got a couple of minions out, but have you got either anything to defend with or anything to keep you alive is another question. Number 2 is Dazzler. Dazzler's 4 cost, 2 thought, 2 attack, 3 health. After Dazzler enters play, confuse an enemy. Quite like this one. It's a nice insta-confuse. I guess the only question is, she's a very similar profile to Rogue, other than Rogue gets tough when she comes in. Dazzler confuses an enemy. Either maybe makes Rogue a bit underpowered, or Dazzler a bit overpowered, maybe, in my opinion. But they're the two allies that we've got in the deck. Then we've got 3 copies of Operative Skill. So when you thwart, remove 1 operative counter from here. The thwart removes an additional threat. And that costs 2. So 3 copies of that coming in. 3 copies of Stealth Strike. Costs 3. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. If an enemy is defeated, remove 2 threat from a scheme. So probably something you want to use on a minion or the last of the villain. 3 copies of Breaking and Entering. So play if your identity has a Spy or Thief trait. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Costs 2. What's quite nice about this is that it's just an action. So Gambit's got the Thief trait. Remy the Bow's got the Thief trait. So something you can play in alter ego mode, which is I really like that one. And then 2 copies of Passion for Justice. So max 2 per deck. When you spend this card to play a thwart event, that event moves an additional threat. So 2 copies of that. So they're the Justice cards that come in his deck. We've also got the basic cards that come in this deck. So, second copy of Professor X. I believe it's the second copy. The only other one I think comes in Mutant Genesis or with Colossus, maybe one of those 2. But 3 ally, 3 thought, 0 attack. It's basically the Professor X version of Nick Fury. We've then got a copy of the X Mansion. So exhaust X Mansion, heal 1 damage from a mutant or X-Men character. Any player whose alter ego has the mutant trait may trigger this ability. Really nice if you're playing multiplayer with some friends, things like that. Then we've got the Gambit and Rogue team-up card, Beauty and the Thief. Little play on Disney's Beauty and the Beast, So 2 cost, deal 4 damage to an enemy, remove 4 threat from a scheme. So really good for the cost it is. Probably something you're going to take if someone's playing Gambit and someone is playing as Rogue for no question, really. Then we've got 3 copies of Hit and Run. So deal 2 damage to an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Costs 3. And then 3 copies of Mutant Education. So play if your identity has the mutant trait as an alter ego action. Choose 2 identity-specific cards in your discard pile, shuffle them into your deck, and if X Mansion is in play, draw a card. So probably something quite nice. You're probably going to want to use that in combination with X Mansion in any sort of decks that you've got. And then finally, we've just got the 3 double resource cards. So that's the Gambit deck. That's everything that comes in his actual deck. There's a couple of other bits. Let's take a look at those now. So 2 other cards that come in his deck, or there are 3 copies of them. So we get 3 copies of War Room. There's an aggression support, cost 1. Max 1 per player. After an ally attacks and defeats a minion, exhaust War Room, remove 1 threat from a scheme. So quite nice to either have in or have a cheap support in play for those pesky schemes or minions or anything that say discard the support you control or discard the support or upgrade you control. Only costs 1, probably not doing the world. And then a free event, X-Men Instruction. I think the artwork on this is really cool. I like the idea of Wolverine just getting really confused with students and being like, why don't they understand this? Things like that. So 3 copies of X-Men Instruction. Play if your identity has the mutant trait. Again, another alter ego action. Choose up to 2 X-Men allies in your discard pile. Shuffle them into your deck. If X Mansion is in play, draw a card. So it looks like we're getting a lot of stuff revolving around X Mansion, which is quite cool. Definitely something that we like to see. And then the final thing we've got in this pack is we've got the Exodus Encounter set. So another one of these cool little, we're going to give you an encounter set as well as this. We've got Exodus. So Exodus is a 1 scheme, 1 attack, retaliate 1, villainous, 6 health minion. So we've got Acolyte, Elite, and Psionic. So when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard part of the Psionic shield attachment and attach it to Exodus. So let's see what the Psionic shield does. We'll get to it eventually. But first of all, we've got the side scheme. Herald of Avalon. So it's 6 scheme with an additional encounter card. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme searches the encounter deck and discard pile for Exodus and reveals him. Not so nice. So then we've got 2 copies of Psionic Shield. So attached to a minion, otherwise Psionic Shield gains Surge. When the attached minion would leave play, Insace heal all damage from that minion, put him back into play, then discard this attachment. Wow. Absolute mad. And there's +1 scheme, +1 attack. So there are 2 copies of that come here. So you've got Exodus in play. When revealed him, you've got to find Psionic Shield. Attach that to him. Effectively then gives him 12 health, because you have to kill him twice. And then think about it, you've just killed him. Herald of Avalon comes in. You then got to refind him. He gets revealed, so you then got to refind Psionic Shield. Absolute craziness there. And then the last one, we've got 2 copies of Acolyte Frenzy. When revealed, each Acolyte minion engaged with you activates against you. If you're not engaged with an Acolyte minion, it gains Surge. And on a boost, you're stunned and confused. So, pretty nasty stuff. That is everything that's included in the Gambit Hero Pack for Marvel Champions. So, hope you've liked what we've seen. Pick it up if you're interested. Get it on the table. We'll have the Rogue unboxing as well, which you can check out somewhere on the page, and then hopefully we'll get some gameplay of them later and see what they're all about. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you next time.